Hi there, everybody. My name is Tracy Lawrence, and I am the author of a book called Dementia Sucks. I am also a media person. I work for my town. I run Channel 77 here in Ringwood, and I am a person who feels very strongly that people need to know what's going on in the world in a way that is not colored by spin or politics. So I'm really thrilled to have here today a friend of mine. His name is Carlos Drouet, and we know each other through music. Uh, Carlos is a wonderful lead singer, and he's a very talented and humble guy. He plays in a band called Faith and Chaos with my husband, Bob Running, who's the bass player, and a drummer named Steve Hodes, who's also immensely talented, and Lionel Mutu, who is the guitarist, and he's amazing.
Don't wanna hear about it. Every single one's got a story to tell. Everyone knows about it. From the Queen of England to the Hounds of Bay. And if I catch it coming back my way, I'm gonna sell it to you. And that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what I'll do.
Carlos has been fronting this band for a while, and I have the privilege of being able to hear them practice in my house, and I get to see them perform on a fairly regular basis when we are not dealing with a pandemic lockdown. So looking forward to getting to the next phase in this so that we can get back out among the living. So I asked Carlos to join me and talk about his story because I think it's really important for people to know from someone who's been through what Carlos has been through, what the truth is, what it's like, and to just so people get the idea that things are not quite as bleak as they might think they are, and that there's hope for us. So Carlos, welcome.
Hey, how are you, Tracy?
I'm great. It's so good to see you, and I'm so grateful that that first of all that you're here and you're healthy and you're with us, and that you're willing to come on and talk with me about your experience. Now, Carlos, you have a military background, correct?
I do, yes. I was served in the United States Army for 9.5 years.
Wow. What was your rank, and what did you do in the Army?
I was a sergeant, and I used to do short-range air missile defense, which is intercepting ballistic missiles and shooting down low-flying aircraft like helicopters and stuff like that.
Wow. See, I just learned something new about you. Uh, and I'm not going to say something as trite as "thank you for your service,"
I appreciate it.
but please, yeah, I'm grateful to people like yourself who put yourself on the line to help defend this country.
No, believe me, it was my pleasure. I'd do it all over again if I could.
You're amazing. So now, professionally, Carlos, tell a little bit about what you do now that you're back in civilian life.
Well, I had a range of odd jobs before I landed on what I do now, which is firefighting professionally for the town of Jersey City. It's been quite a ride. Yeah.
And you also have been involved in certain cleanup efforts.
Yes. Yeah. I work for a biohazard remediation company, which is called Emergiclean Clean out of Rahway. We do well. Their bread and butter is usually unattended deaths and biohazards like hoarding houses and stuff like that. But we also do we treat cleaning for different types of viruses like Ebola. And then once this came around, COVID, that was like a fountain of money. There was no shortage of work.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you were involved in cleaning some of those cruise ships that came in that were infected.
Not so much the cruise ships, but definitely different parts of Jersey City and different parts of New York, way before this entire thing came in.
Right, right, right. So, and now you have a family.
Yes, yes, I have two boys and a wife. Yeah,
Okay. And how old are your boys?
my oldest is 10, and my youngest is 2.
Little.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
super super small.
yeah. And your 10-year-old is he's not in school now, correct? Because of the
No, no, he's working from home. You know, like
Uh-huh.
most of us, well, like a lot of us.
Okay, cool.
Um, he's going to school through online teaching or whatever.
Uh-huh. Okay, great. So now you got us very concerned when we heard that you had come down with COVID. Do you have any idea how you actually got the virus?
So while I'm sitting there in the bed thinking about where could I probably thought got this, there's a couple of places, but for sure I know of two, well, at least 5 places where I could have came in contact with it, but 3 of those places I was suited up to the gills with the respirator, positive pressure, the whole thing. I mean, is there a chance that I could have caught it at the biohazard place? Yes, absolutely. But every time that we went and we knew it was a confirmed case, we would set up 3 zones of decontamination. You got your cold, your warm, and your hot. And then when you come out, you know, there's a decontamination process to that. So, I mean, very unlikely that I caught it there, but definitely probably at work in firefighting in Jersey City, coming in
Ah,
contact
okay.
with other people and
Right,
other firemen that might had it, you know.
right, right. So when you first suspected that that you had this terrible virus, what were some of the symptoms? What made you feel like, oh boy, I got a problem here?
Well, I started getting symptoms, but I didn't really think anything of it because it just I felt like a fogginess in my head. Um, but I didn't really pay no attention to it. Is Wednesday when I got hit really hard was when I felt drained of my energy. I
Mm,
felt a little tickle in my throat, and I started feeling hot. And I usually don't get any fevers. If I do get sick, it's very, very once a year. And that thing already had passed already. I already had gotten sick for the year, as far as I call it. So when
right.
I started getting a temperature, I started getting a little concerned.
Uh-huh. So you contacted your doctor?
Um, well, I called my work because they were very concerned about like is if you get any kind of symptoms, if you even think you might suspect it, I called work and I called my doctor and then actually my doctor didn't want to see me. My regular doctor was just so afraid of it that he wouldn't even get on the phone with me. I called the front office. The front office said go to the ER. And at that point, I wasn't terrible where I needed to go to the ER, but needless to say, I don't go to that primary care provider anymore. I found somebody else, and then yeah,
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So you went to the ER.
yeah, it got to the point where I couldn't find medical help in the sense that everybody's so afraid of this that nobody wanted to deal with it. So, and I definitely didn't want to go to the ER because I've never been one of the person that just goes straight to
Sure.
you know. So I stayed at home. I quarantined in the attic where I'm at now, and uh, just kind of waited out. And about the first week is when I felt the whole severity of the thing.
Uh-huh.
And it got to the point where we got a oximeter. I'm an EMT because you need to be a firefighter now. So
Right.
I got my own things, and I got my oximeter, which measures the oxygen in your blood, and it fell below 80, and it got a little concerning because anything below 90 is a little, you got to see somebody. And then
Sure.
once it fell below 85, I said, hey, I have to start thinking about what I'm going to do here. And the coughs got progressively worse. Phlegm. Uh, it got to the point where I couldn't even move out of my bed. Where if I had to go to use the facilities, I really had to think long and hard. If it's bad enough where I have to extrain, just use energy to get there,
Sure, sure.
Um, but I went to the hospital when I realized I couldn't take a deep breath. Like I couldn't breathe normally like I'm doing now. If I took a deep breath, I go into these coughing attacks, and I was coughing so much that I started bleeding, which I assume it's from, coughing a lot. It just probably broke a vessel up there, but that
Sure.
was concerning. And as my oxygen rate dropped and my coughing increased and I couldn't take a deep breath, I was like, it's time to go to the ER. So I went to
Wow.
the ER out of a hookup. I have like a few friends that work in the medical field. Somebody hooked me up in Bayonne, and Bayonne didn't take the patients there, but because of my friend, they gave me the test, and they held me there until my oxygen levels tried to go up, but they wouldn't go up. So they didn't have enough. They didn't have the resources to treat me for COVID there, so they sent me to Hackensack.
Ah,
So those 2 days in Hackensack, it was a day in Bayonne and a day in Hackensack. But in Hackensack, they pumped me up full of whatever it was, and it was one of the most surreal experiences because they don't have enough beds in there, or they didn't. I don't know what it looks like now. So they keep you in a hallway, and people running around. It's just chaos.
wow. Now, you were treated with medications.
Yes, they gave me what I couldn't tell you what they gave me there because I felt like such a sigh of relief when I got to, even if I was in the hallway, that somebody was there and they knew what the hell they were doing. Because that's the thing, is that like it's so new and so foreign that you don't know what you're dealing with, and like somebody that's been experienced and been around it more or less, you don't have to worry anymore. You just kind of try to get better, and that kind of
Right.
I felt like some sort of comfort in that.
Right.
So I just pat.
That
I'm
there was
sorry. I said,
somebody there to help take care of you instead of you being um, responsible for that part of it as
yeah,
well.
yeah. So I passed out, but from what I'm told, I've given a whole bunch of antibiotics there, and then they put me on oxygen through like the nasal cannula thing, the little wire thing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they were just keeping me there until my oxygen levels got to normal, at least to a 90.
Right. Right.
Because every time they took me off of it in Bayonne, it would just plummet. It would just drop.
Wow. And now there's a medication called hydroxychloroquine, and you were given that medication, correct?
Yes, they gave me hydroxychloroquine and a Z-Pack, and I believe the Z-Pack was 5 days, and the hydroxychloroquine was 6 or 7 days. I'm not too sure. I can't remember.
Hmm.
But once my oxygen levels went up, they gave me the hydroxychloroquine and the Z-Pack, and they sent me on my merry way. I started taking that, and almost I'd say maybe a day or two after I was out, I started feeling a little bit more like myself again.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you had the problem with your sense of taste and your sense of smell also
Oh
right
yeah,
away.
that to me that was probably the worst. It wasn't the breathing, it wasn't the phlegm, it wasn't the coughing. I love food. I'm a big guy, and, and for you to take my senses away, it's almost like torture. So it's like every time you put something in your mouth, it's like mush. There's no taste, there's no rhyme or reason. So I
Yeah.
lost my appetite, and just the energy it takes to chew. You're like, well,
Like, what's it for? Why
right,
bother?
right, 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 right. So I lost a little bit of weight, but thankfully I've gained it mostly back. And but yeah, I lost my sense of taste and smell for sure.
Hmm. And so they sent you home with the medications, and they just worked. That you were
Yeah,
better.
yeah. I I don't know. Like I said before, I don't know if it was like a placebo effect. I honestly believe in hydroxychloroquine and Z-Pack, the combination, whether it be one or the other or the combination of the two. But I'm willing to bet money on it, because
Hmm.
for me it worked so well that it was almost like 1 week I had it and then the other week I didn't. It was just
Right.
the difference was just night and day.
Right. Just back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, it took a little bit to get to 100%, but
Sure.
definitely once I got out of the hospital and I started taking the medication, I literally felt regaining strength. Like I felt like I was getting back to normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And nothing, no other like ill effects from it, correct? I mean, you just, you were
No,
just getting
no.
better.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah, I
awesome.
wasn't, no side effects or anything like that, or I mean, yeah, no, nothing crazy. Aside from probably I had to go to the bathroom a little bit more than usual, but
Right. But at least you had the energy to do it. So that's,
right, no, and that was a big thing, you know. I was
yeah.
really, that's huge because I was sitting in my bed and I'm thinking I got to go 2 flights of stairs and then lift this pillow and blanket. Just to think about lifting a blanket was just exhausting, you know.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
so I'm like, do I really have to go, or do I just kind of just wait it out, you know?
I get it.
Yeah.
I was actually sick in February, and I don't know yet whether I had the plague or not. But I'm going to get tested this week. See
You
if I get
know,
the antibodies.
a lot of the guys that I work with, those guys got sick about the same time I did. But there's
Mhm.
some of the guys that have been in and working since the whole thing, and they said also they got sick earlier in the year,
Mhm.
and they got tested for the flu, and the flu came back negative. So they're thinking maybe they got it back then, and now they have antibodies, and they haven't, you know, thank God that they haven't been hit
Yeah.
with the rest of us, you know. But maybe that's something to look at, you know.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I was most of February. I was really sick. I got hammered with uh, in the middle of February. After I was like it was one of those things where you get sick for a little bit, and then you get better, and then you
Yeah,
get sick again and
yeah,
get better. You know, it just never really goes away. And then like the third week in February, I got hammered, and Bob came home from work, and I was in bed. I could not get out of bed, and I'm not a sickly person. I haven't had like a high fever in a long time, but he came home from work. He touched me and he's like, "Oh crap!" and he said, "Where's the thermometer?" And I told him, and he got me the thermometer, and it was like 103 point something. I mean, it was high.
wow, yeah,
Yeah. And I made an appointment to see my doctor, and I went to the office, and they tested me for flu, and I wasn't flu.
right,
They gave me antibiotics, and I had to be on a really heavy duty antibiotic, and it finally knocked it out. But it took weeks,
yeah,
and I don't know for sure. Like my lungs were clear, so I don't know, but it's possible, and that's why I want to get the test for the antibodies, because I could well have had it. I don't know,
yeah.
but I think people should know that there's there's treatment for this,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
and that we shouldn't, live our lives in fear that, that this is going to kill us. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference in our ages, right? How old are you, Carlos?
I'm 35.
35 years old. Okay, so I'm old enough to be Carlos's mom. In fact, I'm older than Carlos's mom. I've met Carlos's mom. She's beautiful.
Yes. I'll let her know
So,
you said that.
yeah, she's adorable. I love her. So, but it's the thing is that this is a situation where yes, when this first hit, we didn't know a lot about the virus, and of course, there's a lot of fear when it's an unknown. But once you start getting to know what's going on, then now we can like start applying what we know, right?
Right.
And so now we're in a situation where we got to figure out how do we react to this going forward. And well, Carlos, when you were over for band practice this week, you mentioned something about going to a fire in Jersey City, and
Yeah. It's just, and it's so incredible how, like you said, we can't live in fear. And that's one of the biggest things. And I hate when people compare it to 9/11 because it's apples and oranges. But the way it is similar is that if this was, and I'm not saying it is, but if it was something that something did on purpose, that we're letting them win because we can't go out. Everything's closed. The economy is just, tanking. We're letting them change the way and behavior that we do. It's just like the same thing in 9/11. Everybody's terrified to go out, terrified to fly, but eventually it comes back to normal and we just live life, But Out in Jersey City, we were at a call. It was a high rise, and there was a small kitchen fire. So we're all getting there, trying to figure out, what we're gonna do when we get there. What is every individual role? And we getting out the truck, and this lady from the street, she's yelling, "Hey, where's your mask?" But a lot nastier. She's had a couple of choice words for us. Like, you're endangering everybody. You guys don't think of it like, lady, we're about to put this fire out. We're not even, don't come near us if that's the case. Just let us do a job. But she was really adamant about, like, when we got out of the truck, she wanted us to have, the whole getup. It's just weird how people react like that.
Yeah, and if she knew what the situation was, I mean, you're somebody who doesn't need to wear a mask anymore at all. I
Yeah,
mean, you absolutely had COVID. You're over it, and so you cannot transmit it to anybody any longer.
right,
So, but that's not, we have laws in this country that protect that information, right? So,
right.
and this whole thing is like turned it on its head because we don't have the right to privacy anymore. And I almost feel like you need to wear a T-shirt that says "I have antibodies."
Yeah.
Back off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or and even if that weren't the case, you're protecting people's lives. You're putting out fires, and no one has a right to second guess how you approach that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're thinking about the bigger picture here, and we're not trying to endanger anybody. Of course not. We're trying to actually do the complete opposite. But just to think about how that would even work, like you get out, you put your mask on, and then when you get to the seat of the fire, you unmask, you put the other mask on, and then when you get out, you run out of air, you put the mask back on, and it just doesn't seem very practical.
Yeah, no, and the fact that you're going into a situation where the temperatures are pretty high, the virus isn't going to make it through that anyway. So.
Right. And what's crazy is that well, there was only the people that I don't know if only the people from that building, because eventually when the alarms go out, everybody from that building has to evacuate. So I would assume that she's from that building. That's just a big assumption. I really don't know, but I mean, it's the building you live in, where your stuff is at, where you live. Why would you create more of a hassle for these guys? And my opinion, I don't know.
Yeah, I think people need to step back and practice a little gratitude for guys like you who are trying to save their lives and their property and give you the benefit of the doubt that you know what you're doing and that you're acting in their best interest.
I think that's it. That's it. I mean, I don't know about I appreciate what you said. Very kind. But I mean, I'm more of like, just let's all relax. Let's all take a deep breath and all right, let's figure this out. And like, let's not be afraid of living, because that's what we're doing. We're terrified of just living. And it's a sad state where we're at right now, but hopefully it'll pick up.
Well, that's beautiful words, Carlos, and I agree with you. And I think that by allowing people to hear what you've been through and that you've had this wonderful outcome where you're back to health and going out there and saving lives and helping to protect people. I'm hopeful that people will listen to this and understand and start drawing some more sane conclusions about what our prospects are for the future, and that we don't have to look at a future where we're all hunkered down and frightened and afraid to go out in the world, because there's
Right.
there's risk inherent with stepping out your door, under any circumstance, right?
Right. Yeah.
There are people who've had like cars and trucks run into their houses and kill them. So
And sitting in their living room. Yeah,
in the living
absolutely.
room, right? So, I think we all need to, as you say, take a step back, take a deep breath. And when you can take a deep breath, be grateful that you can.
That you can. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
and start, let's start having a more healthy and sane conversation about what the future can look like, and let's find a way to get back to being Americans who are proud and who have jobs and have our health and a society. It's
Yeah.
I think it's monumentally important.
Yeah, I think I think, yeah. Also, with everything that's going on today, I mean, it, it's not, and this is just an opinion of mine, but it's creating a sense of dependency on the government. People that are not working, they're making a lot more money that they are now. So, I mean, why would I want to go back to work if I'm making a lot more? You know, that we need to get back and get things to normal is what I'm trying to say. And the longer we wait, it's going to be a lot harder to get things rolling. That's what I'm
Totally
really trying to
agree.
say. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Carlos, thanks a million for doing this with me. I think that your words have power, and I'm grateful that you're back and that you're healthy. And I look forward to seeing you kick some ass as the vocalist in front of Faith and Chaos. And thank you so much for taking the time to share your story. And it's I'm so grateful. So thank you
Oh,
very much.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate you letting me share.
Thanks so much, Carlos. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. And folks, thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll share this, and I hope that you'll find some comfort in knowing that that there is a treatment that works for a lot of people, and that what you're hearing in the media about these treatments is not what it seems. So I encourage you to do a little research. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks again, Carlos, and everybody, take care.